Give us perspective on the sell side of things. And first, for those who may not know, tell us about how D2 got formed and what the inventory and audience data looks like, because unless, again, your hands are in the soil or they've seen the slides, people may not know the footprint and impact that you guys have.
So D2 Media Sales is really a partnership between DIRECTV and DISH to create the nation's largest addressable household platform, but it's specifically for politics. This isn't available for commercial buyers. If you're a commercial buyer like Ford or Mondelez, you buy addressable advertising from DISH and from DIRECTV. But here, we realized in the political space, you've got to have scale at a local level, or at least within a state level, because most campaigns want to stay within state boundaries. So it was the perfect way to get scale. And you're talking about two competitors who've really come together for this. And so there's joint resources involved. But it's the perfect solution to what political TV buyers have been looking for a long time. I mean, how do I get the precision of direct mail and the accountability of digital, but with the emotional impact and reach that only a television commercial can give me, right? That's really what we're trying to do here. And you can actually serve a specific television commercial to specific homes. Even if two different homes are watching the exact same program, they may see different ads. And that's pretty revolutionary in the television space.
So how has that changed? I mean, how have you found, is there a learning curve of the buyers where, again, there's a bad stereotype of how politics and CPG and pharma are the three categories that lag the rest because there's so entrenched in terms of what has quote unquote worked in past cycles. But as we've heard from today, and as I think you guys would agree, the political category is probably now on the leading edge in some areas, especially in advanced TV. So what is it about the mindset? How have those switches been made? Like, where are you taking dollars from? Traditional, good old-fashioned television on a demo? Or is it from other media? Is it from earned and owned as well, or promotional dollars going in and going, this is a new way to actually access folks. We should do this on top of other things. Where do you find the wins coming from?
So when we started in 2014, most of the dollars were coming from the traditional TV buyers, right? They were adding it to their plans. They were supplementing their buys, their television buys. So for the most part, it was a television budget. And I was amazed at how quick the political ad agencies were to accept this and to want to use it. It makes a lot of sense, right? Because when you serve an impression, you can serve them only to targeted households. You can keep all of the impressions within state boundaries instead of having the bleed that you would have in a DMA. So it makes a lot of sense. But then there's other factors here that prevent waste, right, for a TV buyer. I'm only charged when somebody actually views the ad. That's pretty revolutionary. That's kind of a digital thing, right, where it's 100% viewability. And people don't realize that about addressable TV. The technology that we use on DISH and DIRECTV side, if someone skips the commercial, or if the commercial's played during a DVR playback, and they skip through all the commercials, it doesn't count as an impression.
At all. So I zip through, I'm still maybe seeing a couple of frames, I'm maybe seeing a logo, and I see an arrow, or I see a Trump, it doesn't matter.
Not counting.
Freebie.
If someone changes the channel instead of watching the commercial, it doesn't count as an impression. So, think about, and another real challenge, I think, for the TV media buyers is, how do we reach these light TV viewers, right? Well, addressable answers that problem because you can frequency cap, and you're hitting target households in a universe, right? So you can target the home 6 times, or 5 times, or 4 times. And that way you don't overserve the heavy TV viewer and underserve the light TV viewer. So it's the perfect way to do that. So it solves a lot of problems. Now in 2016, I think what we're starting to see is a lot of the digital players fight for that money and say, you know what, this is really a digital buy. It's sold on a CPM. Yeah. And it acts more like digital than it acts like TV, and we can integrate our custom data. And you're seeing a lot of that now with political campaigns where custom data is being used, not just the off-the-shelf demos that we have. And we have considerable 50-some different demographic audiences that we can target, as well as voter file data. But now what you're seeing is custom voter file data being matched, and that's really interesting because, especially in this election cycle, there's unique audiences that are affected by the top of the ballot problems that maybe we have, right, on the Republican side and on the Democratic side. So that affects the down ballot candidates. So now there's some really cool targeting segments that are being created by some of the data folks around town. And when that data is matched to the D2 households, now you can target just these disaffected Democrats or these reluctant Republicans or you name the target audience. I mean, there's a ton of them out here.
When these so-called digital buyers are coming in and recognizing, hey, maybe I can play with this the same way I've been playing in these phones and laptops and all that other stuff, traditional digital media, are they asking for audience data to be shared in a similar way to how cookies are used in a classic retargeting play, where those that have retargeting as page 1 of their playbook and go, well, no, that's great, I want to learn from that audience and now I want to go apply that elsewhere? Can that technically work, and can it work? Are you choosing to have those chats from a business standpoint and creating fair value for giving folks that advantage, or it's too soon, or not sure yet?
So we have some privacy concerns, right? Both AT&T and DISH are very particular about their subscribers and the privacy of those subscribers. So consequently, we're never able to allow another company to know who was matched. That's an issue, right? So you're never really going to know a deterministic match unless you're AT&T or DISH, right? So for the AT&T side, AT&T DIRECTV side, we have a 1-to-1 household match, and there's already deterministic matches on 30 million devices in those same households that are DIRECTV households. And at some point, my platform, it's my hope that the D2 platform will be able to integrate DISH and DIRECTV for politics to be able to do a lot of that completely addressable cross-device. That's where we're going with all of this, and I think that's where our industry is going. Pretty soon you're going to be able to match that with TVE, like some television everywhere, and over-the-top services like the Sling service, or the over-the-top services that DIRECTV will come out with this year.
Yeah, I think of an analogy of the folks may remember in the mid-90s, one of the first web ads on Hotwired was the great Tom Selleck doing a voiceover for AT&T around the You Will campaign, if you remember those. And when the DIRECTV acquisition happened, one of the first creatives that came out, I think it was the Super Bowl, was part of the launch, was showing all the different screens for a consumer experience. It sounds like the plan certainly is to not have the ad opportunities lag too far behind the audiences that are already engaging across your footprints, right? Nice.
Yeah, I think that consumers aren't averse to advertising, they just want more relevant advertising. We've been saying that in the digital space for a long time. Yeah. It's the same thing in TV. I mean, why should I see a Pampers ad if I don't have a toddler in my household? It's the same kind of thing.
Have your buyers gotten to the point where all the targeting techniques, we always talk about programmatic creative being one of the last questions on a panel, and it's always the last panel at the conference, and it's always oh, by the way, that's right, what about creative? And it's kind of the last mile, to use an old cable term, kind of that curb to home of a lot of upside. Are you seeing TV or even digital video creative leverage the data assets better, where they can start sequencing uniquely, or they're at least thinking about it? Like where are the smartest marketers in terms of leveraging the messaging part of this?
So I see that on the commercial side, or I hear of it on the commercial side. On the political side, we've had meetings with consultants, not just the ad agencies, but the consultants and the strategy people behind the campaigns, who like the idea of more creative, but it's also kind of difficult for them.
How come? Cost, time? I mean,
cost, time. I think they're always trying to quick reaction in campaigns, right? Rapid response type thing. So do you really need to segment all these different audiences? And quite frankly, you may not have scale of all these different voter audiences in a particular state. But certainly, I mean, if you saw the Washington Post headlines this morning, I mean, there are some new swing states. And this just lends itself perfectly for addressable television. Texas, Mississippi, Colorado, we have 25% penetration in those states. 25% of those homes are addressable satellite homes. If you're not reaching those homes and you have scale to reach exact audiences there, you're missing the boat, because that could swing an election right there. So it's really important to be able to do that. So, but in many other states, you can't really slice it too thin, to be able to do specific creative for every single audience.
What about maybe because it's so reactive and hey, we need to send something out and push and understandably respond in sort of a ping pong way. Have you seen examples of kind of the brand awareness, top of the funnel, then bottom of the funnel, kind of get a message out, and then the donate, they get the vote out, the join the list? Have you seen that
absolutely
interplay a little bit? Because most people, I mean, I remember Stone Age ago when I was at Turner Broadcasting, DRTV still today is, me when I was 20 selling Craftmatic adjustable beds with 2 hours to go before they had to ship the tape for our syndication stuff. Now DR obviously is, digital has done a pretty good job with E-Trade or Expedia or anybody else leveraging that. Do you see that working together at these different agencies? Or is it there's a brand message and that comes from one place and DR is later?
I think they're integrating that pretty well. I think that the typical playbook in politics still hasn't changed. I mean, you still have the persuasion and they get out the vote and all of that kind of thing. What I think might be missing is that you think about the Trump campaign, you think everybody's talking about how there's not a lot of television spend. And some people will say, well, why should he be? He's got his own television channels, they're CNN and MSNBC and everything, right? But the problem is that television advertising is about persuasion, it's about brand building. And you've got to do that if you're a candidate, because you've got to still make the case that you're the right candidate, right? Hillary Clinton's done a great job of that. She's never really stopped using television advertising and different persuasion messages the whole entire time, since the primaries. So I think that the television as a vehicle still has to be a persuasion vehicle, still has to be used in a traditional way in many cases. It's just that the targeting is so much more superior now that you can integrate that into your whole plan.